Evening, and welcome to this on location edition of Mild's Culture Plate. I am outdoors. How's everybody doing today? I'll give people a couple minutes to filter in. I have a little bit of whiskey here, trying to keep my flask hidden because I don't want to be drinking in public. Man, is my flask leaking actually? I don't think so. I think I just made a big mess when I poured it and I never fully cleaned it up. Anyway, so today's whiskey, I took a picture. It's going to be Wolcott Kentucky Straight. I don't know if you can see this. Trying not to reflect everything else here, but Wolcott Kentucky Straight bourbon. Wow, this might be hard to do. This might be a little hard to do with the tablet because you can't exactly see the tablet very well with the reflection. But no, I'm gonna just basically give some thoughts about some of the things that have happened this week. Looks like we had somebody pop into the chat for just a second. I don't know if I can see the chat or not. Live chat, all messages are visible. Okay. Can I type in the chat? Okay, well, apparently I cannot type in the chat, but still trying to figure out this mobile YouTube platform. So what else did I have in here? Have a little bag of goodies that I brought with me to keep my stream going. Pardon me while I vape for a minute. I have some pedestrians walking by, so I'm not gonna. Anyway, so if anyone's out there, don't know how well you can hear me here. Let me try doing this. Let me get my Bluetooth over here and use it as a microphone. I don't know if that's better audio or not. If anyone's out there, feel free to say hi. Let me know how the audio is. You know what? I'm actually... I'm hoping this is working out well. I wish somebody in the chat would tell me. Anywho, so yeah, let me go ahead and take a swig of Wolcott, just to cheers. Well, now I can't get it open. Get my Bluetooth over here. So cheers to anyone out there watching. Cheers to the birthday of America last night. It was pretty wild here in Missouri. So I'm suspecting that Wolcott, I was recommended it by the salesman at the Total Wine. So it was pretty cheap. So I don't know if I got steered wrong. It's pretty strong flavor. I don't really care much for it, but it'll get the job done. It'll get you drunk. I'll go ahead and drink a little of the DP and cream with it. So now we're almost 5 minutes in. I guess I can go ahead and start talking about the topics of the night. So I've got a couple tweets that I've pulled up here that I want to talk about. And we got a couple other topics I can talk about too. I wanted to briefly touch on, there was a article earlier this week about Pearl Davis, aka Just Pearly Things, and how she's the new Andrew Tate. And around the same time, there were some people on Twitter that she was beefing with, because she had said that if you're a woman, you look better in your 20s than you do in your 30s. And a lot of people took this to mean that because she was in her 20s, she thought she was hotter than all these 35-year-old women who were replying to her. I didn't get that from the original tweet. I think what she's saying is like, you yourself look better at 25 than you do 35. But there were some women who took it the way it was intended and were posting a lot of pictures of themselves in their 20s and in their 30s and saying, I think I look better now. Well, look, anecdotally, maybe the occasional woman might, but overall, the exception rule proves that there is a rule, right? Because you're an exception to the rule doesn't make the rule of thumb not exist. And I would say that the rule of thumb does bear some fruit. Now, does that mean that I think women in their 30s and 40s are damaged, barren goods? No. And I don't think that's what Pearlie was saying in the tweet. So anyway, we'll touch a little bit more on that here in a few minutes. But okay, why are my bookmarks not loading? Oh, I have to click it again. Okay, so there's a tweet from Noah Pollock. Let me see if I could get this to show without too much of a reflection here. Oh, trying to dox myself. Oh, and of course it's backwards. Okay, I'll just read it to you. So Noah Pollock, at Noah Pollock on Twitter, talks about, he retweets Politico's headline about White House cocaine culprit unlikely to be found, law enforcement official. And Noah Pollock says, this is like if the Hamburglar lived at the White House and all the hamburgers got stolen, and the Secret Service was like, we don't have any leads. We're just not sure what happened to all those hamburgers. And so if you're not familiar with what this tweet is about, one of the big news stories this week is that they have found cocaine at the White House. And it just happens to coincide with Hunter Biden has recently been staying at the White House. Now, Hunter Biden, known for his now infamous laptop, where several photographed him doing drugs and meeting with prostitutes. You kind of gotta look at him first. You find a baggie with a white powdery substance in the White House. The White House gets evacuated. Allegedly, Secret Service has been investigating, but now we have come to find out that the baggie of white powder, which has now been ruled to be cocaine, was found in the White House library. It's known that Hunter Biden was using the library to access the internet on his tablet. It's also known that the White House library has security cameras 24/7. So I would suggest that means whoever left a baggie of white powder in the library of the White House would be on camera, and the Secret Service could release that footage at any point in time. But again, as Mr. Pollock points out, the Secret Service acts like they have no leads, like they don't know what happened, like there's no possible way of figuring out who possibly could have left a white powdery substance in the White House library. So we've got that going on. There is a video, and I don't know that we're going to be able to hear much of it because I'm outside, like I said.
So, as you know, this is under the purview of the Secret Service. They are currently investigating what happened over the weekend, so I would have to refer you to the Secret Service on all of this. But one thing that I can share,
so this is Karine Jean-Pierre.
Share a little bit more information. As you know, the president and the first lady and their family were not here this weekend, as you all reported on this, and as you also know that they left on Friday and returned just yesterday. Where this was discovered is a heavily traveled area where many
area.
West Wing, I should be even more specific, West Wing visitors come through this particular area. I just don't have anything more to share. It is under investigation by the Secret Service. This is in their purview, and so we're going to allow certainly the investigation to continue, and we have confidence that the Secret Service will get to the bottom of this. Go ahead.
The President said, hey, let's get to the bottom of what happened here.
Well, I just said that we have confidence that the Secret Service is going to get to the bottom of this.
So yeah, we're confident.
The President follows all the reporting here.
We're confident that the Secret Service will do its damn job.
Everything that we know so far, but
and not hold water for the President and his son and try to cover up a scandal. Because no, the Secret Service have never covered up scandals in the history of the United States presidency.
And I think the Sweden Prime Minister being here today, having a meeting with the President, certainly shows that commitment.
Thanks, Karine. Just two quick follow-ups. You said the president has been briefed on the cocaine that was found at the White House. Is the White House conducting its own internal investigation?
This is something that's under the purview of the Secret Service. They're the ones who handle this investigation.
So nobody at the White House gives a damn. It's all the Secret Service.
In their purview, in their world.
I mean, how much could you pass the buck?
Can you explain to the American people who would have access to the West Wing on this type of tour and what kind of protocols are in place?
So look, when it comes to security protocol, that's something that the Secret Service certainly is going to handle, and so that is a question for them. When it comes to visitors to the West Wing, they come for many reasons. Obviously, we do have West Wing
I
tours
wish I had
that occur here,
someone in the audience right now to
campus.
tell me if you could hear
They
this.
happen in this particular past couple of days. They happened on Friday, they happened on Saturday and Sunday. The times that they do not happen is when there's a federal holiday, like yesterday, there was not a West Wing tour, and also when there's a large White House event. So I don't have anything more to share on the particulars. Again, when it comes to security, when it comes to anything of those types
She doesn't have anything to share except for there could have been tours and it could have been a visitor. Could have been a visitor.
I appreciate
You see, now the reason they bring the Secret Service in is, you know, it could have been you bringing in a deadly substance into the White House and just leaving it laying around. You know, it's dangerous. It's quite dangerous. So the idea that they can't just pull the security footage and find out who possibly could have just left a baggie of white powder just laying around the White House, I find that insane. And so should you, the taxpayer. I mean, the fact that we now have the press secretary holding water for the, you know, trying to cover up this news story is pretty astonishing. You know, this is just another instance where they create a narrative and they think everyone's just going to be stupid. And we probably are. Nobody seems to give two shits. And, you know, if this was, and again, not to play the whataboutism game, but if this was Donald Trump Jr. leaving baggies of cocaine around the White House, this would be, you know, Congress would be demanding to investigate. You know, this would be, you know, high crimes and misdemeanors. You know, this would be a political witch hunt. So sorry about some of the ambient noise around here. I'm trying to keep the mic close to my mouth, and there definitely are quite a few pedestrians right now. I've actually been away from the hotel for most of my trip, so and then of course there were the holidays and weekend where there wasn't as much open business happening throughout the neighborhood here. So today things are pretty hopping around where I've been staying at. So yeah, I kind of hoped for some sort of ability to be semi-quiet, but be able to do this stream here. And so far we've been doing pretty good, so I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. All right, what other bookmarks do I have? Okay, we got Green John Pierre. Okay, I'm not going to bring up the video for this one because, quite frankly, I don't even know if you could hear it even if I did. But okay, hang on. We got copyrighted music driving by here. Hopefully you can't hear it. Okay, so we got a video from the World Economic Forum event in China last week. I'm not sure who the speaker is. I can't tell. But, they're talking about... Well, here, I'll go ahead and bring it up. Fuck it.
And the one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it as a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like say ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
Okay, so what he's basically saying, and he says darker side of the CBDC, right? Or CBDC, rather. He kind of says it's the darker side, but he also talks about it with a smile on his face, saying, oh, it's very powerful. What you can essentially do is limit what you could purchase with a digital currency. And we've seen in recent years where certain credit card companies, are labeling purchases of different types and saying, okay, well, gun store purchases could have a flag on your account. Well, if this is the CBDC, and what he says is, we could limit pornography, we could limit ammunition, things the government doesn't want you to have. We could just make it to where you can't buy it with the currency. This is why it's very important to create alternative markets. This is why it's important to trade in things that aren't digitally tracked. I mean, for all the crypto bros out there, you do what you do you. But as long as you have to be connected to a grid or plugged into a computer in order to trade virtual currency, essentially, I don't think you've got the freedom that you think you have. Wow. That guy thinks he has a hot rod, but it is falling apart. So yeah, that's where we're at. If you're relying on an investment in a digital asset, I beg of you, get some ammunition, get some gold, get some food, get something that you can trade for real goods. Because when shit hits the fan, and the more they keep ramping up the central bank digital currency idea, the more shit will hit the fan. It is what it is, man. it's coming. You know, no matter how many doomsday YouTubers tell you it's coming, and then you're like, well, it's not what they said it was. Look, everything isn't going to be lockstep like a movie. It's going to be incremental. It's going to be in response to a crisis. It's going to be sold to you as the wonderful, good way of bouncing back after a crisis. It's going to be sold to you as the way to invest, the way to protect your assets. And so it's ultimately going to be up to you what your response to such a collapse might be. And yeah, you're going to have to take a step back from these banks, man. So cheers to everyone out there who, may be doing some prep stuff. Cheers to the preppers. That got warm really fast. That's why I had it in the flask, because I'd had the flask chilling all night. So anyway, has anyone here, left a baggie of white powder in a library? Feel free to comment below. Leave me a message in the comments if you've ever been so careless enough to just leave your expensive baggie of drugs in a library. Because that's something we all do on a daily basis, right? The same thing with leaving a laptop full of incriminating evidence. Just leave that at a repair shop and forget to come back and get it. It's one thing if it's you or me, but when it's the son of someone who's been a politician for 40 years, it is what it is. You're going to have the Secret Service, the mainstream media, and pretty much the entire executive branch pulling water for him. So, in other news, I didn't actually read the article. Let me pull up that article on Just Pearly Things here, comparing her to the dangerous Andrew Tate. Sorry, it takes longer to type. It takes longer to type on a tablet than it does when I'm sitting in my own studio. What is going on? Okay. And yeah, I guess she had an appearance on Piers Morgan. Okay, here we go. Is this... Okay, so this is unheard.com. And it's an article. It says, is Pearl Davis the female Andrew Tate? It says, in recent days, American women have been talking about Pearl Davis, a homely 26-year-old social media personality who's built an audience as a provocative, anti-feminist voice. Davis, also known by her online moniker Just Pearly Things, promotes attention-grabbing hot takes such as the suggestion that women shouldn't vote and it is their fault that if men cheat on them. As of late, she's been branded the female Andrew Tate. The internet, as ever, is flooded with armchair psychologists eager to submit their diagnosis. Davis acts like this because she's busted, she's lonely, she's a pick-me who's husband shopping in the darkest corners of the web. Also, some have speculated she's bitter after being dumped by Toxic X and TikTok micro-celebrity Wanya Damilo. And of course, my browser just refreshed. Others think she's deluded. Frankly, more likely she just wants to be famous. Whenever I write about women, particularly those with large audiences who operate within the online right, what? Okay, hang on. Who's the... Okay, so this is by Catherine D. of Unheard. And yeah, so she's full on admitting, I like to do these profiles on right-wing women. Anyway, so she says, whenever I do one of these, someone invariably tells me to pick up Andrea Dworkin's Right-Wing Women book. In the book, Dworkin puts forth the theory that women gravitate towards the right, which she believes is against our interests, as a form of protection from the brutality of men. Women conform to survive. It's an interesting idea, even if not one with which I entirely agree. It's almost wholly irrelevant when considering social media. All right, so before reading the rest of this damn article, let me just say that, yeah, I think she's a fucking chameleon. Look, if you're listening to this influencer, and let's be honest, a lot of these social media hot take people, they're about algorithms. They're pushing a narrative through an algorithm, and they're not living the life they're talking about. And here you have this woman who, for all intents and purposes, tells you to be a traditional wife, to be a good girl, to not be a hoe, to keep your body count low, to search for a husband, all of these things. And by all means, she's got a wide reach on the internet. She could have her pick of thousands of traditional conservative men. Now, women do have a harder time filtering through the men who might be worth their time versus men who might be wasting their time. The guys who are using chameleon techniques, who might be saying the right things but living their life in a different way. And so I don't entirely blame her for not being this married trad wife, whatever. But look, she's a terminally online person, like a lot of us in this space, right? But she's done a few live streams where she's been like, look, this is me trying to learn how to bake a cake. Well, no, you should be doing that without the online clicks. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. We've got a whole... I'm trying to use technology, and technology is giving me an Amber Alert. All right. Whoa. Okay. White Equinox. All right. I'll keep my eye out for it while I'm sitting out here live streaming to you folks. So this is where the situation we're in with these damn online influencers is. Look, I'm guilty as charged. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and sit here and say, look, I know all the answers. I know how you should live your life. You should live it like me. No, I'm the opposite. Don't do what I've done. Don't live your life like me. The things I've done work for my life because my life is unique. So when I talk about rules of thumb, yeah, I'm not it. I wouldn't know the first thing about the rule of thumb, but I do know how to observe hypocrites in action. And I would say that if you can't figure out how to bake cakes, cook your husband dinner, uh, have conversations with other women about ideal men behavior and ideal woman behavior, if the only way you can accomplish these things is if there's a camera on you and people are feeding you super chats, then chances are that's a big red flag. You're not a trad wife. You're not a conservative woman. You are someone willing to do these kinds of things for money. Now, I'm not saying she's all bad. I'm not the type to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I will say, if you are a regular consumer of her content, you got to understand that what you're watching is an entertainment product. A couple months back, I did my whole tribute to Jerry Springer. And I do think Jerry Springer's show fulfilled a certain role in our society. And in that tribute, I said that I think the role he played in our society is to put a giant mirror in front of America and say, look, this is your sexual dysfunction, America, right? That's what the Jerry Springer show did, was like, look, this is your sexual dysfunction, America. And you, the viewer, may not live your life like this, but you need to be aware that these people are out there, and these people are going to fist fight each other. These people are going to screw each other's man, even if it's their cousin. These people are going to do all these things. And so, when I watch a video from Pearl Davis or Andrew Tate, all right. So when I watch a video from Pearl Davis or an Andrew Tate or one of these live the Chad life, live the trad life people that claim to have the answer for all male, female, man and woman dynamics, right? I know I'm watching entertainment. I'm not watching somebody who's done, and look, maybe they have done some of the research, but quite frankly, Andrew Tate doesn't live in my neighborhood. He doesn't date the women in my city, right? He doesn't interact with the coworkers at my workplace. So how much does he know about what my ideal life might be? And so when Pearl Davis talks about what the ideal woman is, well, I'm not necessarily the ideal man. Their audience is really these TikTok thoughts who aren't going to listen to them anyway, right? It's these Dubai porta potty women. It's the Instagram ass saleswomen, right? That's their audience. That's the people they're talking to. It's just, those aren't the people who are listening. It's people like you and me who tune in and give them clicks and give them super chats, give them money, give them whatever. And so they get to, become an influencer, so to speak. But really, it's the frustrated person. It's the person trying to live my kind of life. Again, I don't mean to be a hypocrite. I'm not saying I'm an influencer or that I have the answer. But I think it's the person looking for the average middle class, go to work, pay your bills, come home, have a happy relationship with a average woman or even below average woman. As long as it's happy and quiet and not filled with drama and not a woman who's trying to drain your bank account or using you for money or using you for her status. I mean, that's really the audience they're talking to, but they're giving this diagnosis of living the elite life, living the conservative life, living the putting women in their place, so to speak. They're not entirely wrong, but there's a middle ground. There's a middle ground, and I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm just saying you got to be careful when listening to any of these influencers. Now, on the other hand, I've been listening a lot to Nick Rekieta on this subject, and I don't think he has the answer either. Unfortunately, I think he's pretty biased. I mean, here we have a guy who, he has 5 kids. He has a wife who doesn't have a career of her own. Marriage is his whole life. And it definitely is suitable for his lifestyle. And there are definitely a minority of men where, like, if that's what you've created, if that's the life you've built, if that's what you want, then that just makes logical sense. But for the majority of adult men nowadays, the idea of getting a government license that, for all intents and purposes, says that she now is half owner of everything you have worked for in your life, that she now is the controller of half of your life. It's a noble thought. I will say it is a wonderful dream that you could find a person that you could trust that much with your soul, your life's work, with your passions, with everything you built, with your home. But the average guy wants to believe he can trust her that much. But really, in all actuality, any benefit he's getting from that, now, again, if you're Nick Rekieta and you have 5 kids, you have the tax breaks for being head of household and having 6 dependents. Bro, the fucking tax breaks. And then you have the health insurance. Being able to package up that health insurance. Now, granted, Nick Rekieta is self-employed, and usually it's a bigger factor if you're employed by someone else, but being able to put your spouse on your health care, I'm sure he's still getting a bigger discount from having a family of 6 in one big fat package. But again, I don't know. I don't know what Nick Rekieta's healthcare situation looks like, so I'm not trying to diss on the guy. But I'm just saying that for the average dude who may not have children, may not have a long-term committed relationship with somebody, for the average dude, the idea of getting a government license, taking an oath to God, committing the rest of his... Uh-oh, here we go. Child was located unharmed. Thank you. Okay. Damn. 3 devices all going off at once. Child was located unharmed. Thank God. All right. you know, the tax breaks, the insurance breaks, and the security, right? Because really that's all marriage is the idea of security. But in modern times, we live in times of no fault divorce. You know, we live in times where literally you could just go into a courthouse with $55, print you off some papers off the internet, right? Fill your name in, fill your finances in, walk into a courthouse with $55 and get a divorce. I literally went through that myself. So, again, the idea that getting a ring, getting a pastor, saying an oath to somebody is going to stop another person from not loving you anymore, from thinking twice before kicking you out of a house. And again, I'm speaking off the cuff. This isn't necessarily my scenario, but if you think that that type of security is actual security, you should really think about it. Think long and hard about it. You know, I would definitely send you to watch The Lead Attorney on Rumble and YouTube. You know, he talks a lot about this, about how marriage is mostly a corporate. I mean, it's a money maker, right? It's a market. It's just another way to sell people flowers, cakes, jewelry, you know, event hall. But once that day's done and you've said that oath and you put that ring on your finger and you now have to live with this person, whether or not you've got that ring on your finger and that piece of paper and that oath, for the most part, that shouldn't matter whether or not you can live with this person, right? They should be the same person they were 3 weeks ago than they were 3 weeks after, right? You'd like to think there's more security, that there's more of a bond, that now you've shared some kind of emotional link, right? But let me tell you, going on vacation with your lover is more of a link. That first date you had with them where you felt all the sparks and the electricity, that was the link. And don't get me wrong, a wedding day can be an amazing thing. I had an amazing wedding day myself. I had a lot of fun. I had good times. And fun with a lot of people who were close to me. But in the long run, we could have just thrown a good old party, right? It didn't have to be a wedding. We could have just thrown a good old-fashioned party. And in fact, I've had housewarming parties that I've had more fun at than my wedding reception. That doesn't mean my wedding reception was bad, or I didn't like my wedding, or I have regrets. I don't have any regrets. No regrets. But again, we're talking about these influencers telling you, run, find someone to get married, find someone to latch on to, do it while you're young. Yeah, maybe. If you find the right person when you're young, latch on to them. You don't necessarily have to get the license and the paper and the oath. But, you know, commitments do tend to mean more when you're younger. Your results may vary. But I'm not for eliminating the no-fault divorce. I'm not for making it harder to get divorced legally. But I do think that as a culture, when you have someone like these influencers talking about get married young, I think we need to be having a very real conversation about divorce. I think we need to be having a very real conversation about, and again, maybe this is just fucking me being autistic, but when you take an oath to God to honor, obey, love, cherish, protect till death do you part. Those aren't just fucking words. You're taking a fucking oath to God till death. So ultimately, do I think Pearl Davis needs to be the next canceled influencer? No. It's unfortunate that she uses a modicum amount of beauty and telling people what they might need to hear and what they might want to hear in order to make money. It does feel like a fucking grift. It feels like hypocrisy, especially since she's not married and doesn't really do conservative things unless it's on camera for money. It feels like a fucking grift. And but right now we're in this weird part of our culture where red-pilled or conservative content is gaining in popularity because there's been such a vacuum before, because feminism and specifically intersectional feminism has taken up so much of the philosophical space of young people for so long that I think hearing someone say, well, it's okay to be masculine, hearing someone say it's okay to be feminine, that we don't all have to be these androgynous, traitless weirdos. I mean, look, so you have these feminists and these LGBTQ plus activists who push for a lot of things to be androgynous, to not have any signifiers of gender. Meanwhile, what do they do with everything else? Everything else is peacocking, right? They color their hair, they wear a lot of jewelry, nose rings, septum piercings, nipple piercings. They wear provocative clothing. You know, the root word of provocative is provoke. And so, again, while removing all signaling, they replace it with, again, peacocking, attention grabbing signaling. They're not happy just being another person. And I think that's why when you have an Andrew Tate or a Pearl Davis say, okay, well, now that we've lived through this experiment of tattoos and piercings and being a unique fucking individual, really all of you unique individuals look like you're all wearing the same uniform, just different versions of it, right? And now the rebellious act is to return to a conservative goal-driven lifestyle, right? And that's really where these influencers are coming from. And whether or not it's a grift or not, there's definitely a vacuum for those kind of messages in the online space right now. And that's why they're making so much fucking money. Because people who have been dying for a message like that for fucking years, I mean, just look at Jordan Peterson's skyrocketing to success. All he was saying is, young men, you're not the monster you're made out to be. You have the capability to be a monster, but as long as you use your powers for good, masculinity can be a good fucking thing. He come out with that message, and all of a sudden, now he's a global political super figure, right? Anyway, so anyone out there watching this, go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments. Let me know what you think of Jordan Peterson, Pearl Davis, Andrew Tate, any of these folks. And let me know if you think it's all a grift, like it's 100% a grift, like the whole MGTOW conservative red pill manosphere thing is. Let me know if you think the whole thing is a fucking grift, or if you think one of these people might have a certain point or a certain outlook that young people are attracted to because it has a place in our society. And whether or not you think it's for zoomers or boomers, whether or not you think it's for old men just trying to get confirmation bias on the way that they've lived their lives, or whether or not you think it's young people trying to imagine a world where their masculinity has some kind of fucking power that it really doesn't anymore. So yeah, let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. So yeah, I'm hoping the syndication feature on Rumble works for these two videos I've made these last 2 days, because these are definitely questions I would like to see people in my Rumble audience answer as well. But I will say that my syndicated videos on Rumble don't tend to get nearly as much traffic. So I'm gonna hope I can do a little marketing on these two videos, or at least this one, and kind of filter people over to this video in the next coming weeks. But you could do your part. You could give this a thumbs up, give this a like, and especially if you're on Rumble watching this right now, please give it a like. Help me with those algorithms, and help me build a community. I would definitely definitely like to get some mild backers out there having conversations. I want to elevate people into a conversation space. Maybe we'll do some call-in shows in the near future. Let me know if you would contribute to a donation in order to have like a monthly call-in situation. Let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, I'm going to try to update this video so that I will have links to the Twitter, the Facebook, the YouTube, and the Rumble down in the description. If you can, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Follow me on Rumble. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. Share this video off platform if you thought any of the topics I covered today are interesting and you know somebody who would interact or agree or disagree and want to become a part of this. You can also interact with me on Twitter. You can find some of my hot takes on there. You can call me an idiot on there. You can at me at The Mild World on Twitter. You can at me and tell me how stupid my take was on this recent video. But most importantly, right here, 6 p.m. Central, Wednesdays and Saturdays, come into the chat, say hi. I'll give you a toast if you say hi to me in the chat. Go ahead and take another little swig of my flask. It got hot. Drink a little more Dr. Pepper to wash it down. So yeah, come back. We'll interact in the chat. And yeah, we can chit chat back and forth. We can take these topics and blow them the fuck up all over the internet. But anyway, it's 2.5 minutes till the hour is up. I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing out early. Thank you for stopping by, everybody. Please do your thing. Outlast the haters. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Don't get any on you. And if you do, rub that shit in real good. See you next time on Mild's Culture Plate this Saturday, 6 p.m. Central, only on Rumble. Thank you. Peace.